trauma-informed bar prep study, Going Beyond Academics.
Because there's something you need to figure out, and that's where coaches come in. For a lot of people, especially if you're a repeat taker, the mindset and the trauma of having failed and other trauma in your life is impacting that. And you might not realize it. That's why we want to unpack this, deconstruct it, and give you a plan. I am Jocelyn Jean-Louis Hardrick, a professor of law. I teach constitutional law and procedure. I am a former bar exam grader for the Florida Board of Bar Examiners. I did well enough on the bar exam to grade the essay portion for 2 administrations. I'm very involved in bar exam preparation. I'm also a bar exam coach. Through my nonprofit, we create lawyers who lead, mentor, and inspire one student at a time. When I started that nonprofit, my goal was to talk more about leadership, mindset, balancing your time and energy, and dealing with the stresses that come with being a lawyer, but still working to become a really good lawyer without burning out, while having a family, hobbies, an outside life, getting into leadership roles. It's very easy to just get sucked into all of that and get lost. And so my goal was to help students find their way that would work for them. The program, we're in our 7th year now. We have classes from 2019 to 2025 of groups of students who went through the program. I started to notice, especially around 2020, that a lot of students need more guidance with the bar exam. And so I pivoted and started doing a lot of bar exam coaching. I'm hiring other people who do this full time to come speak to the students about the bar exam and how to prepare. And what I was realizing was, listen, the students have access to the books with the law and they understand the material, but for some reason, the execution on doing the actual essays, doing the actual multiple choice questions, they were getting stuck. And a lot of students, particularly first generation law students, students who come from more humble backgrounds, students who have immigrant parents, right? All the boxes that I check and experiences that I've had were having a hard time. We're trying to unpack why. They had the intellectual ability. That was clear. They made it through law school, they graduated, so they have the intellectual ability. So what was happening was a disconnect. And so I started a bar coaching program when I joined Cooley Law School. I learned it from another organization called Council of Legal Education Opportunity. They started a bar coaching program for members of, and so they wanted people who had experience with that state to coach someone who was taking it either in that state or region. That was my first bar coaching experience. I connected with a young lady who passed her first time, which was outstanding. She posted on LinkedIn and she said, I want to thank Jocelyn Hardrick, and tagged me. And that's how I was like, oh, great, she passed, and publicly thanked me and acknowledged that I was her bar coach. Some people don't want you to know they had help. That's their prerogative. But she was very public. So I'd asked her, if can I, share her story. And her story involved, again, intellectual ability. She had hit and miss grades in law school, but it's because there was a lot of drama and she had some, you know, personality clashes with professors and individuals. She understood the material, but she had a hard time focusing in class and, getting through law school, all the rigors of it. But she knew she could pass the bar exam if she studied, but had trouble sticking to rigor, rules, and schedules. My job was to help her stay on task and schedule. I realized she was dealing with grief. One of her parents passed during law school, and she hadn't told me that, right? But as we're talking, this is what unfolds. And for a lot of people, there is something happening inside of them. We can call it trauma just for like a blanket term, something painful. It's impacting their ability to study, remember, or execute essays and questions. She revealed she had promised before this parent died that she would become a lawyer, and that was weighing heavily on her. Once we acknowledged it, it took some weight off, and she could actually just do the work and not have it feel like this huge burden. And then even coming down to getting to the bar exam in the Virgin Islands, trying to find a place she can take the bar exam that fit her schedule. So she had to get a plane, you have to get all your paperwork done. You have to get the clearance because it's a new jurisdiction. And then you have to get the hotel. I stayed with her, like, you got this done. We have these deadlines. Make sure you're meeting them. And she got there. She took the exam and passed. I realized students need. more wraparound support. And they need to recognize the role trauma may be playing in their ability to study and pass. Since then, I have coached hundreds of students in groups, individually, or through my programs. I wrote a book called Bar Exam Best Mode. Best Mode is an acronym, things for you to easily remember that you have to stay on top of while you are doing academic work. And so that's why the study is so important, because we need lawyers. I know there's a lot of lawyers in the United States. There's 100,000 plus in Florida alone. But there's a gap. There are a bunch of people who need lawyers who don't have them because, law school is very expensive. So people tend to take jobs at law firms, or they tend to take jobs that get them loan forgiveness. And that's in jeopardy right now. We don't know if that's going to survive all the changes. So there's a big gap of people who need legal representation who can't get it. It's usually working class, middle class. Think family law, contracts, property issues, and handling it themselves and messing up. If you don't have insurance, whether it's your car or property, being injured in a car accident, or not qualifying for legal aid, there's no one to help. And guess who can fill that gap? People who pass the bar exam, get licensed, come from those communities and understand how important that work is, who are able to find ways to lessen their loan burden. I have students who graduated without student loans. They can do that work, have a meaningful career that can support them financially because they don't have that huge loan burden, and are also committed to that work, understand that community because they come from that community. It's really important to me that the legal profession reflects the community it serves. Lawyers become judges. Those judges are in charge of important things in our community. We need a pipeline of lawyers coming in who are willing to serve the community. And that last step is passing that bar exam and getting admitted into a specific jurisdiction. But you got to pass that bar exam to have that license to go to court to represent individuals. But what about other people who can be great lawyers, but they're just really bad at taking tests for one reason or another? People have ADD, people have dyslexia, people who have autism and other neurodivergent issues that impact their ability to take a test in a specific format. But they'd make great lawyers. Some people fail the bar exam or courses who were outstanding lawyers, great advocates, great at strategic thinking, great at communicating with the court, the community, with their clients. That gives people this sense of, wow, I really got my shot. I got my day in court, a remedy. That's what we need, particularly in marginalized working middle class communities. We need people who can do that. But sometimes those people have those very same skills, really bad at taking tests. And so that's why Aisha and I are doing this work so that we can take our individual coaching, deconstruct it, pull back some layers, figure out the blockages for individuals who have the intellectual ability to be lawyers, but also have the emotional quotient, right? Not just the IQ, but the EQ that can really bring our communities together. How do we identify those blockages and give them a plan to get past those blockages, sit down, take that exam, and execute it the way we know they can, and become licensed attorneys? That is what we're trying to do here. If you'd like to join us and help us out, stay tuned because we're going to talk about how you can do that.
My name is Aisha Humphrey, Associate Dean for Student Affairs at University of Detroit Mercy School of Law. I have been in law school administration since 2012. I have worked with students from the time they thought about law school through graduation and then preparing for the bar exam. I have been a bar coach in some form or fashion for the last 22 bar exams. So, over a decade of time, I have graded thousands of essays. I have talked to hundreds of students, from just getting them through the hard time of why do I have to do this, to giving them more in depth help on essay writing, time management, study skills, and then getting into one on one coaching with students and tutoring, where we have regular sessions from the time they start their bar prep all the way through sitting for the bar exam. It is one of the things that I look forward to the most mostly because I am not the one sitting for the exam, but this is my way to help them get through one of the most challenging times that they will ever experience. This study is important because the bar exam is the last hurdle before our students can go and really prepare themselves for the next chapter of their career. They spent 3 years in law school, and for most people, they think, oh, that's enough. That's it. You get this degree. Now you can go out and practice. You have to pass the MPRE, character and fitness, and the bar exam. Is the bar exam the thing that's going to tell us, is this going to be a competent and great attorney? No. But as long as it's here, I'm going to do everything to help students get through that last hurdle. There are things that we do not talk about. And in the years that I have worked with students, I've started to hear some of the same issues, whether it's about finances, whether it's about the cost of the bar exam course, undiagnosed learning disabilities that are now cropping up, whether it is family obligations, a job waiting for them. It impacts that student's ability to be successful on the bar exam. In my experience, law school does prepare you for that exam. The hurdles that the students face that get in the way and interfere are usually due to outside factors not covered. They talk about every substantive thing, but not any of the other parts that truly impact that student's ability to be successful. So, my hope is that with this information, we recommend changes to bar preparation companies, law schools, and students so that when they walk in on day one, they know the things that they need to be concerned about, that they need to look for, that they need to prepare for, so that this doesn't come as a surprise. And that when they do prepare for the bar exam, they are taking this thing one time and being done. That is the goal here, to be prepared to pass this bar exam and then to go out and have an amazing, successful, fulfilling career as a great attorney.
One of my favorite students I've coached, her name is Dana Goza. I call her Dana Get Back Up Again Goza. Okay. I interviewed her. We did a live on social media. She knows her message, and she's like, tell the whole world if it's going to help someone pass the bar exam. Dana was actually a graduate of the law school I teach at before I was teaching there. But the first time I met her, she popped up at one of my bar exam essay workshops. And this was pre COVID, so we were having them in person. During COVID, we had them online, and I've since kept them online because people are just much more mobile now, and we have the technology to really be interactive. And when I tell you, this woman just kept showing up, always positive and upbeat. When you coach people, you're not always coaching every aspect of it. For some people, you coach them on mindset. For others, I coach them on academics. It's not tutoring. I'm showing them how to interact with the material so that they can understand it. And for some people, I'm coaching one aspect. Dana's one I only coached on the Florida bar exam essay portion. In Florida, the essays are the first thing you do, so it really can mess with your mind if you don't do well on them. And it can really give you a boost if you felt confident doing them. The knowledge I have about how it's graded informs how I train people to be essays. So that's why she kept showing up. She's like, this lady is the one who knows. She was always interacting. And then one day out of the blue, she just kind of posted on LinkedIn, oh, I'm a lawyer now. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on. I think I saw a list of school circulated of recent grads being sworn in. And I jumped out my chair and was like, right? Because I'm like, you would think I passed the bar exam. She kept going, fall down, get back up again. She has a great story of the faith that drove her, how everything aligned, that she actually found a job right around the time that she passed the bar exam as a lawyer. She had been working in different roles. I think she was a teacher too. So something about teachers and people who worked in education, right? And then no, we don't want anybody to have to take this bar exam 4, 5, 6, 7. I know someone took the bar exam 10 times. We don't want that for you. But if you still want that license, it is possible because there's something you need to figure out, and that's where coaches come in. For a lot of people, especially if you're a repeat taker, the mindset and the trauma of having failed and other trauma in your life is impacting that. And you might not realize it. That's why we want to unpack this, deconstruct it, and give you a plan so you can do that work before studying for the bar exam. Isha, I know recent for you, you have a story that you shared on social.
Absolutely. When you said that about the mindset for repeat takers, that hit home because it's not the substance. We know you have that. It is saying, I thought I prepared, I did all the things, I didn't get the score that I needed. You doubt every decision. I got to attend the swearing in ceremony for a student that I coached through the bar exam, Larry Johnson II. And it was wonderful to see the end result because it was stuff that I saw early on when we started the coaching session. So Larry will not be outworked. That is hands down, without a doubt. He will not be outworked. His resilience and grit, I said, if students had 1/10 of that, they would be unstoppable. Larry worked on his previous attempts of the bar exam while trying to study. And it was like, yeah, you're getting close and trying to figure this thing out. And what he was really missing was just that help to like wrap all of this stuff in here and say, you're a hard worker. I get it. I know it. Let's just tweak this, work a little bit smarter, and do that. And he did. When I met with him, it was every week in the evening. He always said, I'm going to do this, write this many essays. Very lofty goals during bar prep. Lofty. I think I'm going to write 15 essays this week. So hold on. You need to do multiple choice questions. You still have to have these moments where you are resting because rest is a part of learning. I don't want you burnt out because you have weeks to go. He was open to feedback. I tell them I'm a hard grader on purpose. You don't know who you're going to get, so I will do this until you have a perfect score. That's not reality, but it gives you motivation. As a repeat taker, you feel like, what can I change? Having input from someone else and say, I'm just going to give you a different perspective of what this is. I'm a great accountability partner. If you tell me I'm going to write 10 essays, next time I'm expecting 10. And if I don't get 10, what happened? Let's talk about it. Generally, that unpacks the thing that is holding you up. Well, I had X, Y, and Z to do. In Larry's case, he's the oldest of 7 children. And so he has people looking up to him, and 4 of his siblings were at his swearing in ceremony. And I said, whoa, these are the people. And he takes his role as the oldest sibling very seriously. Sometimes, he was like, I got to do this. I didn't get to write all 10. All right, so let's recalibrate, what we can do to figure this out. And it was making sure that this was the difference. For repeat takers, having another human makes the difference. It's not that you don't know this, it's about execution. Something's getting in the way. How can we tweak this and get that done? That was the key. I thanked Larry for trusting me with that because he had a job. And it was like, hey, people, we're waiting on you to get this done. The pressure of that saying I have to get this done and living up to the expectations of his family. At his swearing in ceremony, not only did he have classmates from law school, which that sense of community, I was proud to know that these students have all graduated, they have gone on, they're working, that they took time to come and be supportive. Yes, you're going into this profession and you need that. His parents were there. His grandparents were there. He had aunts, he had uncles, and his siblings. And when you have a special swearing in ceremony, you get to speak. It was like, oh, he is really special. He is going to do this profession a world of good. I felt like I took the bar exam where it was just like, wait a second. And I said, I played a small but important part in all of that. I never take all the credit. You did the work. I was a wonderful guide to get you to the finish line. And to see his family and know how impactful that's going to be, it is the best part. Now you can go and have a wonderful career, and I'm going to sit back and champion every time I see you got a promotion, you won this case, you took on this leadership role. You can't do it without that bar license. After his swearing in, the judge said, how have I not met you? She was like, I want to be in your space. Please, I want to stay connected. If he hadn't passed that bar exam, he wouldn't have been at that stage. It is transformational. We've been doing this one here, one there. Could we continue doing that? Let's make a bigger splash and inform larger groups to give you those tools you need. When I get old and gray, I know this world will be in a great place and the legal profession will have wonderful attorneys who's going to steer us in the right direction.
That's so true. This is about having a larger impact. It's not about us or individual students, it's about our profession. And we were talking about it. Lawyers are at the heart of what we're seeing happening right now in this nation and this country. and we need more lawyers. Some people may disagree, who want to talk about what's going through their minds. We want to extend an invitation to you. Complete the survey, share the survey, share this video with someone who wants to contribute. I've gotten a couple of requests too. Can you share your results? Of course, we plan on sharing all the results. We're not keeping anything secret. Anything you want to say,
at all.
Aisha, to wrap us up?
Share the survey, tell someone, graduates, licensed attorneys. There may be someone kind of hidden in the background who has a compelling story, and every story matters. No two students are alike. The more we hear from you, the more we can inform this community to help make sure that what you have is absolute and complete preparation when this is done. This is absolutely bigger than the both of us. We just decided to take it on because we feel strongly about it. We are passionate about making sure that we have great attorneys in our profession. There is always room for great attorneys. To do that, we need to hear from you. We want your story. And so share, 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 and make sure that when you do, let it all out. Nothing is off limits because what you share may impact someone else thinking about this or going through this, and so that we can be better informed should we cross their path.
All right, for watching. Connect with us if you go to traumainformedbarprep.com. You can find all the information, the link to the survey, more information about Aisha and I, the links to our, websites on our school, LinkedIn, all that good stuff, and ways to connect with us. We're looking forward to hearing from you all, looking forward to sharing the results, and see you guys soon.